in July now. I'm just coming back to collect, it's 13th of July, just coming back to collect some raspberries, as you can see, and all along the line here, this is all the plants that I moved from the back of the allotment that have been strangled by vines. So I've been along this whole row here. This is the second lot I've collected, and should be ready again in a few more days. Next project is these red currants, which have been quite good this year, and have to get them cropped soon. I've got a few of them to be. Blackcurrants been a good crop this year, and quite time consuming to crop them, but well worth the effort. Planted these ones originally a few years ago, and they've done very well down here, even though they've been very much exposed to the elements. So well worth the effort of collecting them, while you can. Should be a fairly decent crop, I would have thought. This is quite a heavy cropping variety of red currants that I've got here, and it's the best crop I've had. These were fed with chicken manure, and I did weed them a lot, and they sort of rewarded me. And even on it's a very poor waterlogged clay soil here, but they've done very well this year. So red currants, if you like red currants, are a good thing to grow on these type of poor soils, provided you keep them weed free and use something like chicken manure. I mean, that's what I've been using on this lot here, and being quite happy with them and the crops this year. See how we get on next year. I've been growing quite late on from June this kohlrabi, and apparently you can eat the tops of it, and it's not been successful down here yet. So what I did is I tried planting it from seed a lot later on. So I've got 3 trays of the stuff to put in, and we'll see how this gets on, planted much later on. This is mid-July. We'll be getting some gooseberries this year along the line. These are the red ones, and I'll have a look along the line and see if there's any more as I go along. When I'm picking them, I'll probably have to really cut these back this year. There's a few more along here, a bit higher up, I think. So maybe that's what's happened, that they've grown on, second year growth, and I've got less along the ground because they were a lot younger last year. Yeah, you can probably make out there's some of the green ones. I had to spray these with semi-skim milk and a bit of a detergent spray. And that got rid of a lot of, they had like horrible mouldy mildewy thing on them, which wasn't very nice. But it's worked very well, particularly when I've had some at home, probably because they weren't getting enough air around them. There we are, there's some red gooseberries. Hard to get pictures of them live on the actual plant, because you usually get about 45 stabs from the thorns. But there you go. So that's another good thing we found that's good on very poor soils. Probably a better picture here of the red currants and the tresses that you get of this lovely plant, which I've been amazed at how resistant it's been to terrible storms, and the weather down here has been appalling, and yet it's still managing to survive and produce something which is well worthwhile taking the time and trouble to grow. Well, I'm good game for mosquitoes at the moment. They're quite keen. This is my Kentish cob. First year in which it's beginning to look like it might actually start to do something. I don't know about making any cob nuts, but maybe it's going to start to look like it's going to survive. And I have planted some little tiny filberts either side, and more of these cobs at the back. And the bird boxes have done very well this year. Nice and concealed. I think the birds have just basically had a look and turned their noses up them a bit this year, or beaks up, shall we say. But apparently sometimes they do sleep in nest boxes, I've read somewhere, birds like wrens, and we get other larger birds are seen down here, song thrushes. I heard nightjars last year at the back on the field, which is corn on the cob at the moment, and But I wanted to put some nest boxes in because I wanted somewhere. This is the only hedgerow, hedgerow round for a long distance, and the birds use it a lot for cover. This damson, it came from a spot on the River Trent where I picked up some wild damsons, and I just grew them from seed. And I put some of the seeds in the freezer. I read somewhere about how to propagate them, and basically just potted them up and saw what could grow after they'd been kept in frozen ground. And I got probably about 20 of them in the end. I just planted them in the allotments. They're very slow growing, which makes me think that with the Romans and later on the Crusaders brought these back to Britain, and they must have been very patient people, I reckon, because this has been like 2 years to get to this height. And there are a few people down this allotment have got damsons. One of my neighbours has. Makes me think they've probably been down here, since well before, the 1940s, which we know when this place was sort of started in that sort of era, the 1920s and 30s. So I'm not looking for any damsons, at any time soon. Today, 14th of July, and it's cropping blackcurrants. As you can see, there's plenty of trusses around, and this seems to be the peak day for them on the plot. So, time to get picking, really. Make sure I get as many as I can before they over-ripen. Looks like a sun pillar there to me. I'm pretty sure it is. Yep, the sun's over there, and a number of degrees to the west of it is a sun pillar. So there you go. Interesting phenomena. Yeah, just over the gauge trees I can see that's the other side of it, so it might actually be a halo rather than a pillar, because it seems to go there and then you follow it up and it comes down. It's definitely not a rainbow because it's actually on the same with the sun's in the centre of it, so one part of it's there, you can just see that, another part across the allotment's just there. Very nice. There you go, it's a lovely pink sky tonight, so certainly got the birds singing over there in the hedgerows down the allotments. Someone's having a nice little twitter down there. Trying to avoid the pests, I put a load of kohlrabi in, and these ones I didn't plant the seeds until very late on, until June, and then the seedlings have only just gone in now, trying to avoid the worst of some of these carrot root flies and things like that, because now it's mid-July, so I'm trying a different tack with these ones. We did actually see a hedgehog on the plot last night, so the kohlrabi have gone in here, one along here, another little row along here, trying different plots, little patches here. Apparently you can eat the tops of these once they start getting going. If they do get going, got to be positive. In this clay soil they may work, I'm not sure. The stringy beans have taken off. I just kept putting more seeds in when they just didn't take. I kept some over winter in a tin, and it seems to have paid off. That they were a bit higher quality. They're not F1 obviously, these ones are ones from ones that have been on the plot before, but I just kept putting ones in if they failed, new bean seeds. These are my red barons which are put in. They're not the most vigorous variety of onion, but just might work. Next one's called black knapweed, which apparently they say is attractive to bumblebees and birds. Right. It says about this one that the dried stems can be cut to use to make a stylish addition to a cut flower arrangement. Herbalists used to make an ointment for the treatment of sores and wounds, believed to cure catarrh, sore throats. Used in Germany as a custom for an unmarried person to wear black knapweed as a buttonhole. Crikey, it has a rich nectar source, pink flowers attract an impressive range of native butterflies. Then the seeds are an excellent food source of many species of garden birds. So there you go. That's what this is what the flower looks like on knapweed. It's beautiful, isn't it? So I've got that one, and then the third one I got is called vervain. Strange looking. It's a strange looking thing, and it says that vervain, quite what can we find about this? Used as a remedy for a broad spectrum of ailments from melancholy to tooth decay, thought to have powerful magical properties, sometimes included in love potions, and to provide protection against evil influences. Crikey, it couldn't be called the holy herb, the herb of the cross, the herb of grace, and it was prized by the Druids as an altar plant. Makes pretty blue flowers born in summer from very slender stalks, and grows to a height of, a height and spread of 40 by 20 inches. Well, there you go. That one's called vervain. So there you go. Another one another sort of wild flower. So we've got the three: the knapweed, the vervain, and the self-heal to be planted in the herb garden. Here we have the chicory flowers, and it's July 15th today. Certainly seem to be at their best. Beautiful, purpley hue to them. Very impressed. Apparently you can let these run to seed and propagate them. They need frost, apparently, and a freeze-thaw cycle for the seeds to go in from the ground surface. So soon I shall be seeing if I can get some seeds, and then I should dig it up and see how we get on with making that chicory drink. We'll have to see how I get on with it. In order to make raspberry jam, whatever quantity of raspberries you've got, I've got raspberries here with a little mixture of tayberries, 500 grams, zeroed the weight of the bowl. The juice from these came to 100 mils, which is handy because that's the amount of water you'd add, but that's basically just the juice from these. These were picked last night from the allotment. Then, no sugar added at this stage, but when you do use sugar, I'll be using this jam sugar, which has got added pectin in, because raspberries are very low in pectin. On the Tefal Vita fruit here, I'll be putting this on a pre-program first, which is a quick program, P4 first. Once the raspberries are in the jam maker, they'll need to be mashed down somewhat with the added juice from them, and then they'll be ready for the first part of the quick program. The pre-program goes on for 15 minutes, but it won't start until the actual Tefal Vita fruit has reached the required temperature. So you set that particular time there, and once the correct temperature has been reached, then the pre-program will start. Then putting the lid on now. The raspberry was pre-cooked, and when it was pre-cooked it made like a puree with no sugar added. Decided on this occasion to use some frozen red currants from the year previous because they're very high in pectin, and to make sure it did set, also added 2 chopped apples which had been peeled and cored, and that way going to get much more pectin. And on the Tefal Vita fruit, it was put on a program which was for 15 minutes. At the end of that time, it appeared that it was going to no longer become any more viscous by the spoon test. Basically, you take the jam out, take a sample of it, and check your viscosity and setting time. But on this occasion, trying to make jam, basically going for a large container here, and you can see there's lots of seeds in red currant, and the raspberry adds, of course, it's like a sort of puree to it. The red currant, of course, will make it much more settable in the long run. If you use red currants with your raspberry, then you can get away without having to use jam sugar, because red currants are high in pectin. Apple, of course, is very high in pectin, so peeling and coring an apple and chopping it will also help with your jam making. Make sure you're careful not to burn yourself
when you're making jam, of course, because the T. valvita fruit does reach a high temperature